Okay, so what we're going to cover today, first, I'm going to give you a quick, brief overview of where we're at with the MemberNation project, especially for anybody who may not have been able to attend one of these calls previously. We are holding these on a monthly basis to talk about whatever is most current with MemberNation. Sometimes it could be about a new feature that's available. It could be about updates to features that are already in place. It could be a variety of different things, just kind of whatever's most relevant at the time. We're then going to talk about contact data in MemberNation, what data you have, how you can access that data. We'll talk about reporting on those contacts, so how you can get that data back out and how you can see what data you have and understand what information you've got there for your contacts. Then we'll talk about creating a new contact in MemberNation. Once you've created a contact, we will talk about how you can actually add badges to those, and we'll talk a little bit more about exactly what badges are. Then we'll talk about adding notes and attachments to your contact records in the system. We'll talk about other related lists, so other information that you can have on your contacts to kind of see their history and what they've done in the system. Then we'll talk about what the next steps are with CRM, with customer relationship management. And then we'll give you a little teaser for April's MemberNation call. So looking ahead to that call and what that's going to cover. Okay, so project status for the MemberNation project as a whole. The most updated information on the project itself is always going to be on the Society Center, so that's always a good place to take a look at. But just to give you a quick rundown of where we're at, the first theme or kind of project that was released as part of the overall project, is the event management tool. As part of that, we so far have 14 societies who are actually using the system to manage their events right now. We've had 6,100 registrations with 169 events for those different societies, and we have a whole slew of societies who are sort of in the pipeline, who are either being onboarded currently or are in training or are waiting to choose their first event. So we have a large number who are kind of in process right now, I would say. The next theme that was released as part of the MemberNation project was the email marketing tool. That was launched earlier this year, and as part of that theme, we have created some draft communications that are available for societies to use. So they're available within the email marketing tool, and you can customize those as needed in order to send those out to your contacts. And then, of course, we have the CRM, or the customer relationship management tool, which basically this has kind of been integrated from the beginning to some extent, because obviously all of your contact data is going to be in the MemberNation platform so that you can target them for these events. And so you can see which of your contacts are attending your events and things like that. So our call today is going to cover basic CRM phase 1, which is what's available right now. And then you can see from the roadmap there on the right-hand side that this shows you what's coming up for all of those different themes throughout the rest of this year and beyond. So you can kind of see there that we've got a phase 2 of CRM that will be coming over the next few months, and then an advanced CRM, which will be available towards the end of the year. So again, that's a quick rundown of where we're at with MemberNation. But we can always additional questions if you have any going forward. So contact data in MemberNation. What data can you see in MemberNation? Once you are onboarded to the platform, you would be able to see all of the shared CFA Institute and Society contacts. So basically, all of those same contacts that you would see in the Society portal currently will be there for you in MemberNation as well. And those will be updated on a near real-time basis. So if someone registers for the CFA program and they're in your general area, then they're going to show up in your MemberNation data. If somebody applies for membership with your society, then they'll show up. Once they become a member, then they'll show up in near real-time in your contact records there as well. During the onboarding process, we will also upload any local contacts that you already have. So if your society is currently maintaining local contacts in a separate database, then we would upload those individuals so that you would have access to them in MemberNation as well. So then how do you know what information you have? How do you get that information back out? And this is done through reporting. And the MemberNation platform is runs on Salesforce's engine. So it uses all of the same reporting features that Salesforce uses. So it has a very very flexible and robust reporting functionality. So what we're trying to do is get information on what reports would be helpful for all societies to have. So we're creating a suite of standardized reports that are going to be available to societies in their society reports folder, which we're going to take a look at here in just a second. And some of the reports that we're making available are specific to MemberNation functionality. So things like event registrations, who's registered to attend our events, information on form responses, which are a way for you to collect additional information from those individuals who are registering for your events. So if you want to collect dietary restriction information, so what information to give to your caterer for one of your events, all of those form responses would be able to be pulled out in a report as well. Some of the other standardized reports that we're making available are those that replicate some of the society portal reports. So things like your active or your unaffiliated charter holders, CFA candidates, charter pending individuals, lapsed members, all of those types of reports. And then societies can also create their own reports as well. So if there's something very specific that you're looking for, then you can create those reports, and we can always help you with learning more about how to go about actually creating those in the system. So let me go ahead and show you a little bit about what these reports look like. So this is MemberNation. For if you have not seen it yet, this is what it looks like. If you've ever worked with Salesforce, you'll see that it has that Salesforce sort of engine that's driving it, so it looks very similar. Here in the Reports tab, you can see that each society has its own specific reports folder, and within those reports folders, that's where we'll be putting those customized reports for you. So you can see some of the examples of the customized reports that we've created here. So if I take a look at this event registration report here, for example, you can see that you're able to customize the reports to pull in the data that you need and the fields that you need. And then in this example, if I actually run this report, this is obviously just a kind of a test example, but you can see that this would pull in some of the registration information for different events that you have that you're running, along with contact information, the date of the registration, how much individuals paid, all of those sorts of things. So again, that just gives you an idea of the types of reports that are available for you within the system. So then your next question might be, what if I have somebody who recently joined and they're not a shared contact with CFA Institute, they're just a local member. So how do I get them into MemberNation? So once the onboarding process is done, in which we would go ahead and upload any of your current local members as of that time, going forward, then you would be able to actually add any new local contacts yourself to MemberNation. And these are added from the contacts object in MemberNation. So when you go in to create those, then you would want to add them as a local member, and there is the Fontiva default account, which is the account name that's selected to create that. And I'll show you how that looks in just a second. And you would go ahead and fill in the contact details that you have on file for that person. So, and we have two different sets of name fields, which I wanted to kind of point out. The regular name fields would be the contact's sort of legal name, their official name that they go by on legal documentation. But we also have local name fields. So if you want to capture what their preferred name is, or if they have a nickname, that sort of thing. Then that gives you some flexibility there as far as those names go. So if we take a look then in the training environment here, if we go into the contacts tab, I'll show you exactly how it looks to create a new contact. So for any of your views in MemberNation, you can always take a look at a variety of different views, which act as sort of a query if you want to be able to look at just a subset of your contacts. Or you can take a look at all of your contacts if you would like. And then below, you can always see the most recent contacts that you looked at as well. But then when you're ready to create a new contact, you just click New. It's going to default to the local member option there. Click Continue. And then this is where you can fill in all of the relevant information for the individual. So we'll just fill in some information there. This again is where I was saying that you would select the Fontiva default account. And then you can fill in all of the relevant information here. If you have email addresses, you can put in all of their contact details as far as their mailing address. Down below, if this were a shared contact, this is where all of this information would be filled in. In the live environment, you wouldn't. This information would be sort of grayed out there. So once you've made your various changes, you can go ahead and click Save to save that record. And here too are those local names that I was pointing out. You can see that by default, it automatically fills in those local names with whatever you input for the regular name, but you can always make changes there if you need to. Okay, so then badges. I know we've talked a little bit about badges already, and badges are essentially a way of tagging your contacts to show the relationship that they have with the society. So there are certain badges that are applied automatically. And the other thing that these badges can do is they can help you offer discounts to specific groups of individuals based on those badges. So for those individuals who are shared with CFA Institute, so basically anybody that's on your society portal already, then they're going to already have a badge applied to their record automatically. So they'll have a member badge if they're a shared CFA Institute and society member. They'll have a candidate badge if they're a candidate in the CFA program. They'll have a public badge if they are somebody who would be assigned to you for any reason, basically. But the public badge would then kind of other individuals that you might have in the society portal based on their natural society area. So even if they're not a candidate or member, but they're in the system and they're in your general area, then they're going to have the public badge for your record. And again, these contacts and their badges are updated on a near real-time basis. So there won't be any lag in having those individuals show up in your records once they've, registered for the CFA program or applied for or become a member with your society. So then during the onboarding process, for those local only members that we upload for you, we will also apply a local badge to their record. So you don't have to, there's nothing you have to do for those because we'll go ahead and set that up for you automatically. But then as you go forward, as you add these new local members, as we just did in our example, then you would apply their local badges going forward. So again, this is done from the badges related list on the contacts record, which we'll take a look at in just a second. And basically all you have to do is drill in to select the appropriate badge type, and then you have the ability to choose start and end dates if you would like. So if you have, a set member, local member term, you can go ahead and enter the dates for that if you would like. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what this would look like. So we have our record that we've created here. So if we drill in to say that we want to create a new badge or select a new badge, we have the option to drill in and find our badge type. So this is our badge type that we have for this training environment. Basically, it's the local society badge is essentially what that is. And you can see here's where you would input the start and end date if you would like. Otherwise, you can just, put the badge on there and it will stay on there indefinitely. And that's basically all there is to that. You can always create new badge types, which we'll talk about here in just a second as well. So then once you've done that, if we go back to Catherine's record here, you can see that you now have this related list where that badge shows up. So an individual can have multiple badges. So so you would be able to see any badges that she had on her record there in that related list area. So then creating new badge types, again, will help you by creating any of the badges that you already are using. So if you already have a local membership type, then we would help create a badge for that for you and set that up. But going forward, you might decide that you have other badges that you would like to create as well, and that's something that you would be able to do as well. So you might decide that you want to have a committee member badge or a student member badge or a luncheon contact badge. So any of those types of badges you would be able to create in the system. And you would just need to create them from the badge types object, provide the badge name, and then indicate whether or not it was a current badge. So I'll show you quickly how you do that. So here again is your badge types object. So if we drill in there, you can see this is the badge type that we've already used. But if you wanted to create a new one, you could say that to have a badge called committee members. We want to say that yes, it's active and published. And we'll select our business group or our society here and save. And then that badge will then be available going forward to select to add to any of your contacts. So then one other thing that you're able to do in MemberNation is you're able to attach notes and add notes and attachments to your records. So for any of these contacts that you've either added yourself or that we've added for you, then you would be able to add notes or attachments to their records. And another thing that you can do going forward is you can also see all of the related lists. We already took a look at the badges related list, but there are a variety of other related lists that are on that record that will help you see kind of the history of that person with the society. So you'd be able to see a related list showing all of the events that the person had attended. You'd be able to see the forms that person had completed, which again are those registration questionnaires gathering information about their dietary restrictions, or some societies are choosing to ask questions like, how did you hear about this event? Different things like that. You would be able to see those forms kind of attached to that person's record. Things like transactions and sales orders, invoices and receipts, all of those sort of financial things for purchases that the individual had made through MemberNation. You would be able to see those on those related lists as well. If we go back into our record that we created, as you scroll down, you can see here's the notes and attachments area that we were talking about. So you might decide that you wanted to add a note to this person. You might decide to put a note like that. You can go ahead and save that, and that will just be attached to her record going forward. You might also decide that you want to add a private note that you don't necessarily want anybody else to be able to see. So you can do that as well. So then in this case, you would go ahead and check that as private, and then you could put whatever your private note is that you want to add here. You can always, the title is required, but you can always add more details in the body of the note as well. And then if you have checked the private box, you would be able to see that, but nobody else would be able to. You can also upload files. So if you have an entire file that you want to be able to attach to that record, you can do that as well. So we can choose that option. Say that we have this note that we want to be able to add to that record. Click the upload button. It's going to give me a sort of little successful upload notice here. And if we click close, it will go ahead and add that to the person's record. You can see those 3 attachments here. If you click view all, it'll let you see everything in kind of all in one. So then some of those related lists that we were talking about, as you scroll down, you can, again, here's the badges related list that we were talking about. But some of the other types of related lists that you would see here, you can see all of the events the person has registered for in MemberNation. If they happen to be on a wait list for an event, you would be able to see that here. Again, you can see some of the other types of things here. Form responses. So if the individual has completed the form that would be attached to their ticket types that they're purchasing for an event. And then down below, all of the financial things. So transactions, sales orders, sales order lines, e-payments, invoices, receipts, all of those you'd be able to see there. So again, it gives you a really full record of not only, who the person is, but kind of their history with the society. All right, so next steps in CRM. Obviously, this is the basic CRM phase 1, which we've been talking about, and this functionality is now available for anybody who's currently using MemberNation. We have training materials on the Society Center, so there's always resources there. Phase 2 of basic CRM, we're targeting tentatively for June, and some of the functionality that we're tentatively targeting for that is to have a contact type for vendors. So we saw the contact type of local member, but we're hoping to have a contact type for vendors, so more for outreach purposes for societies. So individuals who may not necessarily be members of the society or anything like that, but they're more of a kind of an outreach contact that you want to be able to track. We want to be able to offer the ability to modify the relationships object. And then also do things like adding activities and tasks and preferences to those records, to be able to capture areas of interest that the contacts may have, and also to keep track of email communication history on that record. And then we'll have an advanced CRM that will be available towards the end of this year. As we start releasing these new kind of phases in CRM, then those releases will be covered in some of these monthly calls as well. And then just a little bit of a teaser about the April MemberNation call. That's going to be held on April 26th. These are always the last Wednesday of each month. And the April call is going to be covering a wide variety of enhancements and improvements to the event management platform itself. Basically, as we've been releasing this tool to those 14 societies and to other societies who are onboarding, and we're getting a lot of feedback from those societies about that tool itself. So basically, we took a lot of those feedback items and have put them into this very large release that's going to be coming out at the end of next month. So some of the features that are going to be included in that release are things like being able to actually clone an event, which was a huge request from a lot of societies to be able to just take an event and clone it, because a lot of societies will have very similar events. So it makes sense to be able to clone that. A lot of improvements around ticket pricing, group and table registration functionality. So just making a lot of those features a lot easier to manage. The ability to transfer registrations from one person to another. the ability, a lot of automation around things like cancellation, closing events, refunds, again, and a lot of those, the ability to do a lot of these things like automating cancellations and transferring registrations are driven by the policies that a society has in place for an event. So if your society does not want to offer automated refunds, then it would not, then that would be something that would be able to be managed within the system. So in order to so some of the other information that we'll be releasing again in April's MemberNation news, which will be coming out on April 12th. Then we'll be providing the details about the call. It's always at the same time each month, but just as a reminder that the MemberNation news will have information about that call. And then those who are interested in attending can email Society Tech in order to be included in the invitation for whichever of the two calls you want to attend.